To all the geeks and nerds out there, welcome back to another episode of Simply Minecraft. This is a series where each episode we take a look at the game and see if we can do things as simple as we can. Now this episode is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to actually build anything in the world at all. In fact, we're going to do something a little bit interesting. So in the last few episodes I've been using various mods to show you different aspects of the game, and I get a lot of questions about what mods do I have, how do I use them, all that kind of stuff. So today I'm going to show you how to install two of my most favourite mods, and I'm going to show you a couple of basic things you can do with them that are super useful. Even for beginning players, it's really useful indeed. So stick around if you want to learn how to do that stuff, and we'll get right into it. The two mods we're going to look at today are MiniHud and also Litematica. Now let me show you a quick demo of each one of those so you can see the kind of things that we can do with them, and then we'll get into a bit more detail, show you how to install them, how to set them up, how to configure them, and a bit more information about how I use them as well. So first of all, let's talk about MiniHud. So to give you a quick demo of a few of the features, I can press a hotkey, which is the H key once it's installed, and you can show your own customizable debug screen. So we can show this kind of nice clean screen. You can configure this to have the information that you want, make it as big or as small as you like. You can reorder the lines, all that kind of stuff. I'll show you that in a bit more detail later on, but that's the first thing you can do. This is like a replacement for the standard F3 key. If I press F3, there's a whole bunch of information here, and a lot of it you don't even need. It kind of gets in the way. So instead of having this, we can turn this off and we can use MiniHud and just have this. So this is good because if you just want to have just like the coordinates, for example, in the corner, also which way you're facing, as I've got here, and also I've got another thing, and I've got another configuration where if I get close enough to a block, it will show me what block I'm looking at in terms of the coordinates. So this is always super useful, and you can add more lines to this for more things, which we'll show you in a second. The other thing you can do with MiniHud is you can show the despawn sphere, which is the sphere which is which has a radius of 128 blocks away from the player. So if I'm standing here, I can press another hotkey, this one right here I've got configured, and this shows you the sphere. So this one I've shown before a couple of times, and this is useful. So if you're designing a farm, you can see exactly how far away mobs are going to spawn, and you can do what you need to do to spawn proof the right area, all that kind of stuff. So this is also super useful. So, and the other thing is there's two more things I want to show you. There's more to this mod than just the things I'm going to show you today. I'm just going to show you like some of the things that I like to use, and then you can explore it a bit more for yourself. The other thing is it's got a shulker box viewer installed, so if I just hover over this shulker box, you can see the contents of it, so I don't have to put it down on the ground and open it up. You can just hover over this and see it. The other thing, which is also super cool, let's turn off the sphere just like that. The other thing that is super cool is you can see the light levels. So if I press my other hotkey, you can see that it shows you the light level. This is the block light level, so this is light that is emitting from blocks. So if I was to put a torch down, you can see the numbers here. So this is also good when you're designing farms in creative, especially. This is good so you know that you're lighting up all the area and you don't have any spots that mobs can spawn in. So that is also super useful as well. All right, so that is MiniHud. A quick whistle top tour of some of the things you can do with it. Now there is a lot more to it than that. The next one I want to talk about is Litematica, and that is super cool. What do I use Litematica for? Well, in this series, we use it for showing the material list. So I've got it installed, of course, and if I press the M key, I get the Litematica menus right here. And to show you the material list, I click on this load schematics, and I've got a schematic here in my list. So when you create a whole bunch of schematics, you'll have a whole list of them in here, and I'll show you how to create those in a little bit. So you click on the schematic that you're interested in, and then there's this material list button right here. Click on that, and there are all the materials to build the iron farm. So this is the iron farm that we built a few episodes ago, if you're interested in that. But yeah, here is basically how I do it. So I'll just show this up, and then it gives you an accurate list of all of the materials, and of course all the numbers you need exactly. Now these numbers mean something slightly different. So this first number, that's the total number that you need of this particular item to build whatever this schematic is for. And then missing, that is the number of blocks that aren't placed in the world yet in the right place. We'll come on to this in a bit more detail about what that means later on. And then available, this is how many of that item you've got in your inventory. So if I was to come out of this, go into the inventory, and if I find some glass, so if I get myself, let's give myself 3 stacks of glass, and then we go back to the material list. Just like that, you can see now I've got 192 of the white stained glass. I've got plenty. It goes green, so yeah, we're all good to go. So This number here goes orange. That means these items aren't placed in the world in the right place yet, but I do have them. So yeah, we're all good. So obviously this is super useful for when you're building up your farms. But I guess the next question is, how do we create one of these schematics? So when I go here to this list, how do we create our own in here? Well, let me show you. And in fact, what we'll do is let's create a schematic of one of the buildings over here in the village. And so for this series, what I've been doing is in Creative, I've been designing the various farms that we've been showing off. And then when I get to a point where I think they're right to show, then I create a schematic of it and then show you the material list in the world. So let me show you creating a schematic. So let's imagine we're going to create a schematic of this church right here. So this may be something that you've designed in Creative and you want to create a schematic of it. So what we need to do is there's various ways to do this. I'm going to show you just a simple way to do it. What we need to do is we need to basically select all of these blocks. And the way to do that is, or a simple way to do that at least, is to put a block down which is one corner of the blocks you want to select, and then place a block diagonally opposite it over here. So that would be, if you try and line this up, so the structure comes out here. So let's do it there. So that lines up with that, and then over here it comes out one more block. So let's put that here. So this block here is one corner. That's there. Let's check the other one. Is that in the right place? Yeah, that looks good. Okay, then you get yourself a stick. And as you can see in the bottom left hand corner, we're in corner mode and we are in area selection. So if we go back to our menu, what you need to do is, if we do area selection mode, make sure that is clicked onto simple, and we want to make sure our tool mode over here is on area selection. You can click this. There's a whole bunch of different modes. We're not going to go into much of that detail today, but area selection is the one you want right there. And then what you do then is we right click one of these blocks and then go over to the next one and then left click this one. And then, as you can see, it draws this box around all of these blocks right here. So then what you can do is get rid of these temporary blocks if they're not part of your structure that you want to actually copy or create a schematic for. And then you click on the M menu, then go to your area editor. So we've just created a selection area right there. And then we can name this area. So let's call this church. And then you press set, just like that. And then we can save schematic. So we do that. Then you can just confirm the name of the schematic you want there, press save, and now it's in your list. So now if we come right out of this, we can go to load schematics. Here is our church we've just created. Click on that and then click on the material list. And there we go. Here are all the materials you need to create a church. Not too bad, huh? All right. So that is pretty cool. Now there is a lot more to Litematica than just the material list, because what we can do now is we can place a copy of this, like a hologram of this, somewhere else in the world, and it will help us build it up. So there is our church with the selection box around it, but what if we want to build a second church exactly the same as that? Well, we can use our schematic that we've created. So let's imagine we want to build it over here. Let's go to our Litematica menu and let's go to load schematics. Let's click on the church and let's play load schematic. So now it's loaded into the world and it's right here. But as you can see, it's not really here. I can go right through it. This is like a hologram of all the blocks that need to be placed. Now it's kind of off the ground and not really where I want it. So the first thing we can do is we can maneuver this and place it exactly where we want it first of all. So let me show you that. If I press M and then you can go to your placements. So this hologram, that's known as a placement. So you go to schematic placements and you can see we've got our church here. We can click on configure, and these coordinates here, this is where that kind of hologram, that schematic is in the world. And now what we can do is we can change these numbers. So you can click on these to go up and down. So if you left click or right click, left click goes up and then right click goes down. So you can do that for all of the axis to maneuver it exactly where you want. Now if you want to do that a little bit quicker, what you can do is hover your mouse over this button and use your scroll wheel. So if I just scroll my wheels like this, and then you can very easily maneuver this where you want it. So let's do this. Let's put it there. That's probably okay. And then when you're done, you can just press escape, come out of here. And now you've got your Litematic here in the world, and then it's just a case of making sure you've got your blocks on you. And then so we need to get rid of some of these blocks. Now if you place down the wrong block, so if I put a grass block here where this stone block is, this cobblestone is, you can see that kind of goes like a red color, kind of tints it all red. That means it's the wrong block. So let's take that out. If I use the cobblestone block, it places it like that. So this gives you a guide of exactly how to build a church, just like this. So here you can see there's a piece of grass there that's kind of red, that's wrong. So you can kind of get rid of that. And then what you can do as well is you can use pick block. So as long as you've got the blocks in your inventory, you can hover on that block, then press your mouse wheel. That will select the block as long as you've got it in your inventory, and then you can place it. So that makes it super easy to place these things. Now, a couple of things here. So you can see we've got some other colors here. We've got this kind of pinky color. That means that this is normally an air block, but there's a block in there. So if you just remove that, it changes that color back again. The red ones we've already seen. That's the wrong block in the wrong place. The next one you've seen here is this one. This is kind of orangey color. That means you've got the right block there, but it's in the wrong state. Now, what you'll find here is when we place these walls, these blocks next to the wall here, it will change, and now that is correct. So now you can use this to build your church up, and it's pretty straightforward. So this is really cool if you design some of your farms or some of your contraptions or whatever it might be. Even creative builds, you can design them up in creative first of all when you've got full freedom. Then you can create a schematic of it. You've got the full material list, and then when you're in survival, you can plop down a schematic of it like this, and then rebuild it, and it's nice and easy. You know, I mean, all this really does is it sort of saves you having to have like a copy of the world open on another screen where you can sort of copy backwards and forwards or have screenshots, that kind of thing. Just places it in the world to make it much more convenient. So this is super cool. Now, I think what we'll do next is I think we should show you how to install these things so you're ready to go, and then after that I'll show you a few more things you can do with them, and yeah, it'll be super cool. So how do we go about installing these mods? Well, the first thing we need to do is install a mod loader called Fabric. So if you go to fabricmc.net, there'll be a link in the description. If you come here and then click on the use menu up here, you'll come to this screen that tells you how to install. So basically, if you're on Windows, then click on this one here, the download the Windows exe, that's the installer. If you're on a Mac or a Linux, you can use the universal one. This one also works on Windows, but it's probably easier just to use use this one. So you click on this and it will download. And you can see it's down there in my bar. And then once it's downloaded, just click on it and it will run. Once it's started up, you'll see this window appear, and it will ask you what version of Minecraft you're installing for. So it will default to the latest version. So 1.16.3 is the latest version. You can even tick this box to see snapshots. So if you're designing stuff in snapshots and whatnot, but I guess for most people, you'll just be using the latest version of Minecraft. And then all you've got to do is create profile, just keep that ticked, and make sure this installation folder is correct. It should pick it all up automatically, so you shouldn't need to do anything else. And then just click install, and that will install a brand new profile in your launcher. So now we can click OK for that, and then we can close this window down. If you then open your Minecraft launcher, you will see that you've got a brand new installation right here, a brand new profile. Fabric Loader 1.16.3 has been installed. Now, if you want to see this, if you go to your installations list, it will be here. Now, I've got a whole bunch of installations here for various things I've been working on. But yeah, you'll get this new one here appear, Fabric Loader 1.16.3. So this is the one you need to make sure you select. So you can change which one you're playing just here. So make sure that one's selected, and then you can press play to play your world. And now with the game all loaded up, you can see in the bottom left hand corner here, we are playing Minecraft 1.16.3 Fabric Modded. Now, with the Fabric loader, that won't change anything about the game at all. So this is, although it's modded, at this stage, nothing has been changed. The game is still running in its kind of vanilla default fashion, so nothing's changed. But now what we're going to do now is we're going to download our mods and we're going to get them installed. And so the next job is to download the mods we want. So the first mod is MiniHud. So I'll put a link in the description, but this is the MiniHud page on CourseForge. And you can see here, we've got in the description, we've got a bunch of information here about the mod, some of its key features and whatnot, some extra information. But to download it, what you need to do is go to the Files tab right here, and then look down here for the version of the game that you're interested in. So we're interested in 1.16.3, and then just click the download button and it will download. And then depending on what browser you've got, you might get this kind of a security warning. That's fine. Just press keep or whatever it is on your particular browser, and that is the mod downloaded, ready to go. The next mod we're going to look at is Litematica. So again on CourseForge, and there'll be a link in the description. Go to the Files tab and again download the mod that is for your version of the game. So 1.16.3 is the one we're interested in. So click the download button, that goes down, and again press keep to do that. Of course, on the description tab as well for Litematica, there'll be a bunch of information. So I recommend looking at that to help you along. But I'm just going to come over this kind of quickly. Now, these two mods are made by the same author, and he is a guy called Masa, and he is part of the SciCraft server. And on the SciCraft Discord, they have a channel dedicated to support for these for Masa's mods. He's got some other mods as well that are super good. So yeah, I recommend if you need some help, then get on over to the SciCraft Discord and check out that channel. Now, because these two mods are by the same author, some of the common functions that they have are in a separate mod to keep things a bit easier. So you need to download that mod as well. So that one is over here again on CourseForge, and of course there'll be links in the description. So this is Masa's Light Mod Library. So if you go to the Files tab again, just like we did before, and download this one for 1.16.3. Press the download as before. So now we should have 3 mods downloaded in our downloads folder. So how do we install them in the game? Well, I'll show you that next. And now for installation. So over here on the right hand side, we have my downloads folder, and here are the 3 mods that we downloaded. Just here, these are all ends in .jar. They're the mods. And over on this side, I've got my Minecraft world folder. So here you can see how I have my saves in here. I've got my screenshots, and in the same place, I've also got a folder here called mods. Now that folder was created once I started up my game. Now these mods, when you drag them in, they won't affect the game. So you need to close your Minecraft game down. So close it all off so it's not running. And then we've got this mods folder. So if you double click on that, we've got this is empty by default, of course. So we grab our 3 mods, drag them into here. So now all we've got to do now is restart our game, and they should be loaded. So I've started up my game, and as you can see, we're now in 1.16.3. We were in 1.16.2 previously, and as you can see now we're here, and we've got Litematica installed, so you can see the hologram from before that we used, and also we've got MiniHud. So let's turn off our default F3. Let's press H, which is the key for MiniHud, and there we can see that is working as well. So that's how you download and install these mods. Now the next thing I want to talk about is give you an overview of how to use these in a bit more detail. So let's look at MiniHud first of all. So how do we use and configure MiniHud? Well, I've already said that the H key is the one that's going to show and hide the overlay. But if you hold down H and press C by default, that will show you the MiniHud config. So there's lots of options here along the top, and each of these pages has a bunch of controls. Now I'm just going to go over this super quickly. I recommend getting this installed and playing around with it for yourself. So the first tab here is generic. This is all about all the basic features that you can either enable or disable. So if I scroll down this list, you'll see which ones there are. So for example, we've got the Shulkerbox preview, which is down here. Shulkerbox preview, you can see I've got that turned on. So if you don't like that feature, you can turn it off. You could also change the background color, that kind of thing. So there's lots of features here. So this is basically how you turn on and off all of the features of MiniHud. Now obviously down here as well, here is the control for showing this screen, so H and C. And then also if we scroll down here as well, you get other configurations down here. For example, the font size. So by default, when you first start MiniHud, your display font is much smaller, so I've used this number to get it much higher. Now with all of these screens up here, there is this search box as well, so you click on the search here and you can now search for anything you like. So if I search for font, you can see we get back to this control here, so it filters down what you're looking for, and that is available on all of these screens. So the next one, pretty self-explanatory, is colors. So all the different things in MiniHud that it draws on the screen for you, you can control all the colors if you don't like the defaults. And also here, info toggles. This is the list of items that you can have on your debug screen. So you can see most of these are false. I've turned them all off by default, most of them, but you can see here we've got coordinates is on. I've got the info facing, so that's the direction we're facing. I've got that turned on, and I've also got turned on the looking at block. So there's a bunch of stuff you can turn on here. So you can turn on other things, like if you want to show your FPS. There's also things like the clock. So if I go to the search and type in time, we can see we've got info time IRL, so I can turn that on, for example. And if we come back out of here and if I press H, you can see now we've got the date and time where I'm actually recording this right now. It's pretty late, it's almost midnight. But yeah, that is that. So let's get back onto the menu, and yeah, so that's how you turn on and off all of the features you want on your debug screen. And then you can use this next tab, the info line order, to control in which order they come. So there's a bunch of numbers here, and basically this is the line order they'll be in. So if you want to move things around, just change these numbers and you can change the order. So the lower the number, the higher up in the list they will be. The next thing over here is some hotkeys you can set for each of those line items. So normally, I mean, personally, I don't use this, but you can set some hotkeys here if you want to show and hide those as you play. Structures over here, this will give you a bounding box of all of these different structures in the world. So at the moment I've got them all turned off, but let's say, for example, we went to a bastion remnant, we can turn this on. That will give us the bounding box of it. And you can see here we've got tooltips for all of these things, so it explains what all of these things do, if you're not sure. Also, if you scroll down on this list, there's also some hotkeys down here, so you can show and hide those things via a hotkey, which is also super useful, so well worth looking at. Now the next one, rendering hotkeys. This again is, as the name implies, is all about some hotkeys to show and hide different things in the world. So you can see here we showed earlier the light level, so I've got that set up on the O key. So if I press O, once MiniHud is on, then it will show that. So if I let me just show you that. So I'm here, if I press H, so that disappears. If I now press O, You can see the overlay comes on, says it's on, but actually you're not seeing anything. That's because the debug screen isn't on. So press H to get the debug screen. Then if I press O, then this comes on. So that's what you need to make sure you do on that front. So there you go. You can control all of the different features here in terms of their hotkey. And the last one over here is shapes, and that one is controlled by this shape render hotkey over here, which is U on my system. Now this is how you see the despawn sphere. So here we can drop this box down, and there's a few different shapes here. So the most interesting one is this one, despawn sphere. This is the sphere that's got a radius of 128 blocks. There's other spheres here that are interesting for the game, but this is probably the one you'll use most often. So click on that, and then click add shape, and then you get this line here. You can now configure it. So this is the center point here of that sphere. So you can move this around if you want to, or if you move around as a player, you can then press set here, and that will move it to wherever you are. And of course you can change the color as well if you want to. So that is all good. So now if I enable this and then come out, you can see that the spawning sphere isn't here, but if I now press the U key, it now displays the sphere. So there it is. So this is a great way to work out where your AFK spot is in your farms. You can go up and then make sure this is all in the right place. So that is MiniHud in a nutshell. And obviously there's a lot to it, so I recommend downloading it, giving it a try, and then seeing what you think. Next up, let's look at Litematica. So here we have our church from before, and I've taken away the blocks that I placed earlier. So you can see here we just have the placement in the world. So a couple of things now to kind of help you when it comes to using these schematics in your world. So the first thing is, if you want to get to the normal menu, press the M key. We've kind of talked about that before. Now, if you want to get to your list of placements, there's a shortcut for that. So if you hold down M and press P, you'll get straight to your placements. Now, one thing we could do on this screen, we went into the configure menu previously, but if you press the placements here, you can toggle it on and off. So that just kind of shows or hides that placement. So that can be super useful as you're building stuff through. The next thing you could do is on the configure menu. Obviously, we've already talked about moving it around using the coordinates over here. A couple of things to mention here is you can rotate it as well, which is sometimes useful. I know sometimes I've designed stuff in creative and then want to build it in the real world, and actually I've built it in the wrong rotation. So you can use that here. You can also mirror it as well, and also you get access to the material list from the placement as well. Now we'll talk about the verifier shortly, but that is a very powerful tool which we'll come back to in a bit. But next, I think it's worth talking about how to configure Litematica. So if you go to the main Litematica menu, we've got this configuration menu right here, and there's a shortcut for that. It's M and C. That will take you here. Now, just like with the MiniHud, there is lots and lots of options with these over here. I'm not going to go through all of these here, but basically pretty much the same as before. There's a search option here to search for the things you want, and then you've got all these features you can either turn on and off, and then you get various configurations of how you want things configured and laid out. So the cool one that I would like to show you now is this render layers. So at the moment by default it's render all, so we can see the whole of the placement, but we can change this to be just one particular layer. So if you go to single layer, and then this is the Y level that it's going to show, and as you can see now it's only showing this Y level just here. So this is really good when you're building this up. So if you just show one layer, you can then start building this. You can see all the blocks for this layer. You can place them all down just like this, and then when you want to do the next block, there is a shortcut you can set up. So I've got mine set up as a command and up arrow. So that shows me the next layer. So once you've done the first layer, you can then work up, then do the next layer. Obviously, I've placed the wrong blocks there, but I can do that, and then you can press that again. So you can slowly work up the layers and build up your construction of whatever it might be. Now, if you have a look over on the top right hand corner, you can see here as I hover over this block here, it tells you what it is. So this is cobblestone, and if I go over this one here, you can say this is glass, and it gives you all the other information like the orientation or the kind of all the states it might be. Now, if I place down an incorrect block, so let's go down to the bottom layer right here, you can see this is this block here is shown as mossy cobble, but if I put a cobblestone block here, obviously it goes red, but also in the top there it says the schematic is mossy cobble, but the clients, that's the block we've actually placed, is cobblestone. So that's really useful information when it comes to building this up. All right, so that is really cool. Now the next thing is to talk about the verifier. So here what I've done is I've completed the build, I've filled in all the blocks, and everything is now right and correct. Now this is particularly interesting when it comes to maybe more complex designs, so things that might have a lot of redstone, like when you've got a lot of repeaters, you have to make sure you've got all the settings in the right place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to purposefully change one of these blocks. I'm going to change that out for a cobblestone. Now that is change it for a mossy cobble, should I say. So that is now an incorrect block. Now if you've got a complex build and you step back, you might think you've done it all, and it might be all correct, but how do we check? How can we confirm that everything is in the right place, including all the states? Well, we use the verifier. So if I go back to the placements, go to configure, I can now click on schematic verifier. And now here we get this screen right here. And all you got to do is press start verification, and it gives you a list of all of the kind of output that we can see. So here we've got wrong blocks. We can see it's expecting a cobblestone, but we've found a mossy cobblestone. So here is one that's mistaken. That's the wrong place, the wrong block, should I say. Now here we've got some other things like wrong states. So if you've got, say for example, a repeater on the wrong setting, it will show up under here. If you've got extra blocks, that's blocks that you've placed within that area that it's not expecting. And over here, missing blocks, this is just blocks you haven't placed yet. So they'll get a whole bunch of lists here. Now, sometimes that can be hard to find where it is. You might think, well, we know we've got one wrong, but where is it? Well, if you click on this here and then come out of this, you'll see it highlights it here in red. So it's nice and obvious that is the wrong block. So let's just fix that, shall we? Let's get rid of that, place the correct block, and that red then goes away. So that is a really cool tool, very, very powerful to make sure your build is exactly as you designed in your creative world. So there we have it, 2 of my most favourite mods, how you install them and how you use them. So a big thank you to Masa for creating these mods. They are amazing and brilliant. So thank you for all the effort you put in. They are super cool. And yeah, I just want to say that these mods are client side only. You don't need anything on the server to make them work. So yeah, you don't need to make sure whatever server you might play on has anything specially installed. They'll just run in your own Minecraft client. Now I think there are a few things that don't work on servers, but check out the descriptions on the mod pages to get more information about that. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then please hit the like button, and if you're new, then feel free to subscribe, and if you've got any comments or suggestions, then get in that comment section. Alright my geeks, until next time, I will see you later.